Scruffy Audio Network.
Hey, thanks, program director. I don't know if I've ever done a live podcast with the music banging in the back like a rager on a Tuesday afternoon. Hey, listen, everybody. I'm here with a good friend of mine. He's like a son to me. His name's Chase Thomas. He's probably the number one Cleveland Browns fan that I know, or Cleveland Cavs, or Indians. I've never met sports enthusiasts like the Cleveland, Ohio guys. So, Chase is in for about 3 or 4 days down here training, getting some stuff done, business, pleasure. He's spending a couple days with me.
Yes, sir.
And I thought I'd do a podcast with him. So we're in the Woodgym. It's hot as balls in here. It's about 110 degrees in the Woodgym. People don't know whether they see it or hear it. It's very hot, half insulated, half not. The turf room's not, so it gets really, really hot. And the weight room is, but it's still really, really hot. So, Chase, how are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Good, man. Good being here.
Yeah.
What's the turf like right now, temperature-wise?
It's decently scolding out there. Yeah, it's hot. I don't know if I've ever done an afternoon podcast. This is our first.
I don't know if we'll do another.
I know.
Well, I feel very special.
Well, we got to get him. He's got to get back out of town tomorrow, so he's scooting and booting. So, I'd like to open up all my shows with one question to all my guests. And I think you apply for it. I know you're a teaching pro now, retired player. What was that?
Tennis.
Yeah, we know he's tennis. I'm about to say. Like, we get it's tennis. Thanks, Johnny Carson.
Okay.
When did you know that you were different?
So for me, I would qualify myself as more of a late bloomer than anything. I was a multi-sport athlete growing up. I was a gifted athlete in a couple different sports, but didn't really have much of a direction personally. Mm-hmm. So I was playing baseball until I was about 13, 14 years old. I was playing tournaments in tennis up until about that age too. But honestly, I really didn't realize that I could do something athletically until 19, 20 years old. So I would say once I did a couple years of college, and then once I kind of started giving it a full go, I realized that maybe I could do something in the sport, playing, and if not, just put myself out there enough where I could learn a lot and maybe make a difference on the coaching side.
So you like, I've known you a while, and you lived with me some, and you're always your passion for tennis is probably more than any tennis pros I've worked with. So I think I always find the most passionate people are the ones that make the most better coaching than the actual players.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have one elite player that will actually go on to coach compared to the marginal pro, the marginal collegiate athlete that goes on and becomes passionate with whatever sport they're doing. So when did you know that this is what you're going to do?
I honestly always say that if you would have asked me, 14 through 19, like if I was going to be involved in tennis later in life, I probably would have laughed at you. So, once I got my move down here from Cleveland, I was working at the academy next door to the gym here. So once I started doing some stuff with some of the better kids here, and they started making a lot of progress, I started to realize that maybe the coaching aspect was something that I was good at. So I would say probably around 22, 23 years old is when I started to realize that because of how I could play and because how I could connect with young people, that maybe coaching was something that I could do really well at.
And what's your age? How old are you?
I'm 30 now, so I turned 30 in March.
So with 30, where do you see yourself? Because I think you come down here for a lot of, Petrone spice of life coach to training to the environment, see all the guys. You trained with a lot of these pro athletes from Harrison Smith, Josh Malone, JP Smith, the tennis guy that I had on a while ago. Where do you see yourself in the next year to 3 years in your profession?
So it's hard to say just because I think a lot's happened really quickly with me in the last couple of years. So obviously I was down here training with you and kind of soaking up everything that I could while I was here, and then I moved back to Cleveland about 5 years ago, and when I got there wasn't really much of a program in terms of high level where I was, and then me and this other guy got together and started this program, and it's really exploded, and in that time we've had a lot of kids come up and go through the ranks and play really high Power 5 collegiate tennis, and then from there, just because of the successes I was having on the court with people, it kind of cascaded from there, and I started to work with some higher level professionals, and once I started doing that, I kind of realized that I could probably try to get into anything. So, in the next 5 years, I'd like to keep in, kind of even excel further than I already have.
And you've had some pretty cool opportunities the last year to 2 years. When you were telling me you were working with Mary Jo Fernandez's son, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's who you went to the Australian Open with?
No, so my wife and I went to the Australian Open with each other, but a client that I worked with, Lauren Davis, was playing in the main draw there. She's been top 30 in the world on the WTA Tour. She's been number 1 players in the world. Obviously, you mentioned JP Smith. He's an Australian guy who we go way back, and I've done a bunch of stuff with him, and he was playing there too. So it's a good excuse to kind of go there and work with them a little bit and do some stuff there. And Australia was amazing. The Open was so much fun, and getting to see those people play at that level, and I actually got to meet Roger Federer because of some of the connections I have from Cleveland, and so that was definitely a life-changing experience for me.
Yeah, I mean, because your passion for tennis, I mean, it's 24/7. It really doesn't turn off. Anything we talk about, you're on all the time with it. So with that, you go to, so I know you went to Wimbledon also. Was that for the same person?
So one of the girls that I mentioned earlier, Lauren Davis, she's a Cleveland girl. She grew up with us playing, and she was in Cleveland for a little while, and just from her and I training together, working out together, she gave me the opportunity to go with her to England for a couple weeks last year, and we went to a couple tournaments, Wimbledon included. So that was my first time at Wimbledon, and hopefully I'll have a couple more opportunities to get there. But I mean, just being in that environment and soaking that all in, and kind of seeing people at the highest level of their profession, it's pretty inspiring.
So, I know we talked. Have you done the U.S. Open?
I have not done the U.S. Open yet, which is ironic because it's the closest one.
That's crazy. Because he keeps telling me to go to Wimbledon, and I was like, okay, but I've been to the U.S. Open. Right. He's, still throw away. So you think, you should go there?
Yeah, for sure. It's when it is, it's kind of a tough time for me just because of the stuff I have going on in Cleveland.
Well, you got a baby coming up that same month?
Yeah, exactly. So U.S. Open usually in August.
When does she do?
End of September. So
you could squeeze it in.
Yeah, definitely. It's usually like end of August, and it usually ends at like 8th or 9th of September. So that's usually when the final is. So I mean, I guess potentially I could get there.
Well, if we could get Hot Rod, well, JP's the type of guy he asks for one ticket. He's like, nothing. And I'm like, really? Nothing for the Challenger? Like, we got nothing for us? I sponsored the thing, but we should actually try to do that if JP's in it.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure he is.
Yeah, he'll be in the doubles for sure, and he'll probably be playing qualifying for singles. So.
Yeah. Catch a Yankee game.
Ben Rogers will be there also. So he's the guy that
you worked with. Yeah. So your next road is like, I know you come in here and we try to make some decisions of where you're going to go and what route to take, all that jazz. Coaching for a school, coaching for a club, or do you go out there, and as they say, let your nuts hang and start being a teaching pro on the tour? It has its pros and cons, and, would that be one of the things you look into?
I think just like any other profession, you just kind of have to work your way up. And if I ever had an opportunity to start with somebody and kind of go from there, where you go through the ranks, and I don't think it's very lucrative at the beginning, but depending on kind of how your players are doing, what kind of prize money they're making, how much successes they're having, I think it all kind of dictates, how lucrative it can become. So, to me, it's never really been about the money part. Obviously, you mentioned that I just have a passion for the sport, so I just like being around people who strive to be the best that they can be, which is why I'm attracted to coming back to the Woodgym, even though I haven't been here for 5 years living. I try to get back here, like once or twice a year, just kind of hang out with you and get some workouts in at the gym and hit some balls with some of the people I used to work with here connection-wise. But I just think, for me, I'm just kind of living my life one day at a time, and opportunities keep presenting themselves to me. So I don't know if that means that, maybe I'm doing some of the right things, maybe I'm meeting some of the right people, maybe kind of like what you said, the passion maybe that I have attracts people to me in that way. But yeah, like I said, I try to take every opportunity that I can get if it feels like it's the right one. So hopefully down the road, I would love to kind of be out there doing my thing on a tour at some point with somebody. So hopefully that an opportunity that comes my way again.
So it's kind of, I don't know if it's a hindsight 2020, but is it one of those things where, like a Harrison Smith you've had since 8th grade, and you bring him along and have him go pro, or Chad Pennington since 15, you bring him along and have him go pro. Is it more that route, or is it a route where, say, hey, J.P. Smith wants you to get out there for 3 weekends in a row, the Cincinnati, Atlanta, all of a sudden he has good numbers, good showing, whatever the words are, tennis, and then from there it's like, oh wait, I'm popped onto the scene. Is it easier to pick up a pro, or is it easier to hitch your wagon to a developmental person working all the way up through the ranks?
That's a good question. It's tough because of being in Cleveland, Ohio. A lot of good players are kind of obsessed with the idea of being in Florida, being in California, being in these places where you can play outside all year long. Obviously in Cleveland we're indoors a lot of the year playing tennis, and that's not necessarily ideal. But we have had, a girl come through the club that I trained since she was, about 12 years old, and she's somebody who's got pro aspirations. She's been on the tour now. So it's hard to say, because once you kind of develop these kids, sometimes they end up having the success, and then they go to a place where they feel like they can really excel even more, because they, like I said, maybe going to Florida to an academy where they can play with other pros, or have more opportunities to get into events because they're closer to them, or whatever. So, it's hard to say. Like I said, I'm in a unique position just because I know a couple professionals, so I've had the opportunity to go and do some stuff with JP, do some stuff with Lauren Davis.
And that's really like you said, coming from Cleveland or Knoxville, which aren't two hotbeds for tennis. That's some pretty big accomplishments already at your age. Yeah. So the next question I would say is, and tune in on this one because it's kind of cool, because I had to do the same thing and think about those things. Would you be willing to move to further your career, your coaching career, as in California and Arizona or Florida, considering, guys, let me tell you something, whether you're watching or listening, this guy is a Cleveland born and raised, true blood, all the way through. I've never met a guy that loves his sport down in the city. Parallel, I don't know. I really don't understand that. It's a real cool passion with that too. Right. Now, but I know Nick Bollettieri from Chad training down at IG Academies, and Dobbs down there, and Nick's a go-getter, rock and roll, all that type of jazz. Would you, because those are other connections. That's another avenue for you of, hey, would you be willing to go down and work at Academy? We got another Maria Sharapova coming up. Yeah. Would you want to do something would you put yourself in a different circumstance to get there, or would you wait for the Ohio thing to happen?
I think I would. Obviously, I moved down here. I didn't know a single person that lived here. I think I was 23 years old, and an opportunity came to do something different. Moved to Knoxville, where I knew no one, working at an academy where I had never been, and I kind of just took it on completely. And I think if the right opportunity presented itself, I would definitely be willing to relocate to do something like that. But yeah, obviously Cleveland is home, and I think that I think a lot of people are probably in the same boat as me in terms of obviously Cleveland's not like the sexiest place in the world to live, but it's funny because it's a really big character building type of town. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people have a lot of pride that are from there just because people do it the hard way there. You know what I mean? Like the winters are tough and the summers are hot, and obviously it's we were talking about how hot it is here today, but. I just definitely think like when you come from a town like that where you have to earn everything you get, it's definitely a character building type of place.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy that this kid is from Cleveland, Ohio, veteran, on the campus here of the Woodgym, and then he came and lived with me some, and then a close friend of mine, Jimmy Haslam, buys the Browns, and all of a sudden we're connected a little bit more going to Cleveland, Ohio. I just need to take a time out here for a minute. My program director asked her for a towel, and I think she gave me like a gas station or a maid cleaning towel. Out of all the towels I just bought this week, I don't even have a white towel, and it doesn't smell well. I think somebody used this one, and it's like, here, Chaz, wipe your face off with that one. So, that's how it is in the Woodgym. You get what you get. The
character building.
The pickings are slim, so a little bit more detergent next time.
Okay.
Or maybe throw this one out or give it back to the maid. Yeah, I think Kona's pisses on this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
It probably is.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure, and a dog lover this guy is too. Forget about it. But seriously, the guy's staying with me for about 3 or 4 days, and the TV has been on Wimbledon all the time.
Oh yeah,
24/7. So
I'm like I'm having some serious like FOMO right now.
Yeah.
Everything out. Like,
I know.
I was there last
Well,
year.
yeah.
It's nuts.
Well, I mean, the courts are amazing. I know everybody's like, you got to get over there. Someday I will to see some of that stuff because, the tradition or the historic or the history that stuff has is absolutely amazing. But we definitely should really look into the U.S. Open.
No, yeah.
Even for 2 or 3 days.
Definitely. That'd be a lot of fun.
I'm in and out. I'm not going to do anything else but probably go to the U.S. Open and then come back for a day or two. Maybe Yankees game. I did love watching the Yankees growing up. And I know you're an Indians fan. American League, we used to watch that a lot.
Yeah.
It's let's get off the subject for a minute. What sport do you go to the most? Because you go to all of them. I mean, you're at everything all the time. I mean,
I'd say baseball the least out of all of them.
Really?
Yeah, just because I don't know. Once I stopped playing, watching wasn't the same to me as playing. So
but that
it's a little bit
stadium
slower.
is so cool. Right?
Yeah, no,
It's better than
downtown.
but when we come in and we're driving to the Ryan Hotel or whatever, it's sitting right there.
Yeah.
Because the football stadium's down the other
right on the lake. Yeah,
right.
It's on the other side of the town.
Yeah, and it's really cool.
Yeah, so the Q, or I guess it's now, they changed the name to Rocket Mortgage Arena, so it's not the Q anymore. But where the Cavs play and where the Indians play are actually right next to each other, and it's kind of like, towards the middle of the city, and then the Browns play like right on the lake. So to answer your question, I've been a Browns fan since I was a little kid, and we've had season tickets in the dog pound like pretty much my whole life. So I just grew up, loving football, watching football. Although, all those runs that the Cavs had in the finals, I was at every finals game that was in Cleveland too.
Yes,
so
I know.
LeBron's my idol. So
We got a girl back here with a Cleveland jersey on out of nowhere.
Yeah. No,
she's modeling a Cleveland jersey.
Right.
So
the Browns, bar none, are my number one and Cavs number two.
And there's no hockey. Is there soccer?
No hockey, no soccer. So
those are the 3
It's a football town in a big way. So, obviously, like when the Cavs won, it was incredible. It was a lot of fun, and I was downtown for that, and it was a night I'll never forget. If the Browns were to win, I'm pretty sure the city would burn to the ground.
Yeah. Well, the odds are going so much better this year.
Oh yeah,
sure.
This will be a fun year. This will be the best year that I've had in recent memory going to watch.
Yeah, and let me tell you, viewers and listeners, he had to defend his Browns yesterday with some of the pro athletes in here about all the moves they've made. And he was ganged up on, but I think he gets ganged up on a lot with the Browns, and he defends it pretty well with all his knowledge of the sport.
It's been tough to defend them in the past, for sure. And I try my best, but obviously I have to kind of tap out a lot of times. But
if you don't have +7 wins this year, I mean, it's gonna be
for sure. I'm thinking 10 wins, but we'll see. We'll kind of see how the team meshes. According to Harrison Smith,
well, I do think it would be unique if you turned into a teaching pro coming out of Cleveland, Ohio.
Sure.
That would be a very unique situation because it only takes one.
Yeah.
It only takes one deal. It only takes one client to do that compared to going to Florida and having the haven of everybody sitting down there. That's where everybody goes.
Right.
You know, it's the same. It's kind of the same concept with the Woodgym.
Yeah.
Why Knoxville, Tennessee? Well, hopefully someday soon, they'll say why Cleveland, Ohio, because Chase Thomas is it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that will be like, I'm going to Cleveland, Ohio. Well, it's but at least you have the sports, you have something to do.
Yeah, definitely.
More to do. At the Woodgym, people flying in here, you're just training.
Right, for sure.
I mean, there's not too much to do.
Knoxville's not Cleveland for sure in terms of the size.
And I'm not a big recreation guy. I'm not a boats guy or go out much. So we just sit at home, train, sit at home, train, sit at home, train. So
that's why I came here.
I mean, we got training going on the floor right now while we're doing a podcast. You know, we're luckily I had my acai bowl from Clean Juice.
Beauty bowl.
Yeah, the beauty bowl. I feel so beautiful. All right, Chase. I know we got a lot to do. You got to go get a dinner in with some, a tennis guy that you work with in the family. And then you got to fly out. I just wanted to get you on the mic and listen to what you got going. I love guys with dreams and ambitions that are realistic. You know what I'm saying? If he came to me and goes, "Hey, I know you know Jimmy Haslam can get me a workout with the Browns." That's not realistic, but what you're trying to do is
right on the out about my 40-yard dash.
Not yet. We got to post it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Man. And thanks for having me on, man.
We'll do it again.
Really appreciate it.
I'll see you at the US Open.
Yeah, man. Excited.